couple weeks ago, I uploaded this video called Beating Risk of Rain 2 with only razor wires. And well, I did that, and it was a very overpowered build. After I uploaded that video, I got a couple of comments. Now, these comments said that I could take this build and put it one step further. You see, with two items that I didn't really care for, the first one being the Planula, which is a yellow item. This item, whenever the holder takes damage, they immediately heal 15 HP per stack. Now you combine that with a lunar item, this one called the Hellfire Tincture, this a lunar equipment, that when activated, a sphere of blue flames surrounds the user, continuously inflicting invisible Hellfire debuff or damage on everything, including myself, within 15 meters. That means if we combine these two items, I will consistently be damaging myself, I will be consistently healing myself, and I will be consistently shooting out razor wires. And that is exactly what I did for this build. And we got to do some crazy damage. Just watch, just wait and see. So I'm going to be skipping out on a lot of the gameplay from this video and just show you the cool parts because this was a 4-hour long run. Now, people who are against razor wires say that they don't like it or that there's not really any point in stacking more than a few of them. But that's wrong, because although it doesn't necessarily increase the damage of the razor wire, we're increasing the area in which we're able to attack enemies in. So if I have 100 razor wire, I can essentially hit enemies that are literally across the map with my razor wire. So, how do we actually increase our damage? You see, now, this is where we want to stack on things like lens makers, glasses. We want to stack up on things like laser scopes. I actually came in and got some armor repulsion plates, because the Hellfire, once I get it, is going to be the thing damaging me. However, that flat reduction damage is going to ensure that as I increase the damage of my attacks, the damage to me is not going to be deadly. So, in doing so, I can get to some really, really high numbers while also maintaining my health. Now, you need 5 Gestures of the Drowned to make sure Hellfire Tincture is always activated. Since it is equipment, Gestures of Drowned will ensure that 100% of the time you will be affected by this thing. The Hellfire Tincture will damage you every 0.2 of a second, which means every 0.2 of a second you are also healing that amount back, and you are also shooting out Razor Wire, which is doing damage to literally everything around you. Razor Wire does not discriminate. It goes through walls and it hits targets that are invisible or ones that you wouldn't normally be able to hit. This is why this is such an overpowered build. Now you have to keep in mind that as you increase your damage with your laser scopes, especially with your laser scopes, that is going to increase the damage that the Hellfire Tincture does to you, but it also increases the damage that you are doing to enemies. So you have to kind of keep that balance in mind. So you have to increase the amount of armor repulsion plates that you have, so you're not dying to yourself. So your healing outpaces what the self damage is. Now, the only downside to this build, at least early on, is that when you go to the Newt altar to turn in your regenerating scrap to get a red item, that was a big part of this gameplay. But every time you go there, you're going to be damaging the Newt every time you are hit by the Hellfire Tincture. In order to prevent this, what I did is before the stage ended, I made sure there was an orange item on the ground so I could change out my equipment before I go to the Newt altar. That way I don't attack the Newt and then get kicked out. And then once you're there and you've bought your items, you can switch back to the Hellfire Tincture and be ready for the next stage. Now, at this point in my run, I was feeling pretty confident. I have a few crowbars stacked up, maybe you get a few invis watches, you have a couple laser scopes, you're killing things pretty quickly. You don't have to worry about your movement as much because things are dying before they attack you, right? Now, that's how I felt during this run. However, that's not to say that I was invincible just yet. You are still able to die even with how much damage you are putting out. This was one of the times during this teleporter event where I became the closest that I was to dying, the stone golem is going to lock onto me, and the only thing that was saving me was the one-shot protection. That was the only thing saving me. So if something else would have hit me right after that, this run would have been over. So right, you're not invincible. So moving around is still super important. Get your movement items, and the damage will do the rest. Prevent yourself from being hit, because if it was unlucky, this run would have ended right there. Now, over the next many, many stages, my life involved getting the newt so I could exchange my regenerating scrap, getting repulsion armor so I wouldn't be taking damage. The yellow on my body, if you can see those numbers, is the damage that I'm receiving. The green is the amount of health that I am gaining back. So it's important that the green numbers are higher than the yellow numbers so you are not losing health overall. So I was really, really stacking on my armor in order to ensure that I had enough health to not worry about dying. I would continue to do this for many, many stages. However, if you do this build like I did, you get to a point where the 5 flat damage reduction that the armor plates give you is not enough. Especially when you're stacking crowbars and laser scopes like no tomorrow, it becomes incomparable. You would have to get like 30 of the armor plates for every laser scope you get, which is just, it would take way too long. So if you look at my health bar, you can see what's going on. Now, the Hellfire Tincture, it's going to deal less damage to you the lower your health gets. So the most that I can go down to is where my invincibility frames are. The Hellfire Tincture will never kill you. The Hellfire Tincture cannot get you below 1 HP. But it can get you to those invincibility frames, which for me right now is about 700. So I can't go below 700. And since the Panulas heal you immediately every time that I go down to 700 from the Hellfire Tincture, I am immediately healing right back up to my maximum health. The Hellfire Tincture won't kill you. The Panula heals you immediately. Now, when I was ready to end my run, I was doing damage to everything on the map in the tens to hundreds of millions. And the only thing that's able to kill me at this point is if I step on a piece of malachite and something else does enough damage to completely remove my health. However, just look at my reaction to the damage that I did when I started this boss fight. $241 was the most we did. Right there. Okay, so we definitely got 200. We might be at $250 billion. Then we're going to pet the frog. Now, my only regret of this entire run was getting the unstable transmitter, which is when you reach below 25% of my health, I am teleported to a random location. I really like to pair that with the Old War Stealth Kit because I turn invisible and go to a random location, and it's really good for surviving in the early game. But you'll see here in a second why I regret it. But still, watch this fight with Mithrix. He's gonna die immediately. I hope he takes 250 million. What was that? What was that? Where was that? Was that 9? What the fuck? What the fuck? We just did 1 trillion damage in Razorwire. It was like 959. There was 915 million instantly. That was the fastest Mithrix fight ever. Why is he taking my items? And that's why we have the Lunar Chimera. Why is he taking them? Lunar Chimera, please? Please? Thank you. Thank you. Oh gosh, I didn't realize they were going to take them. I didn't know he's still alive. Why is he still alive? And he's dead. Cool. And I'm like kind of healing, sort of. I don't know. Give me my health back, please. Why? Can you stop fucking teleporting me every 2 seconds? And here, the one item that I regretted getting prevented me from petting the frog. Every 2 to 3 seconds, I was teleported to a random location, and I could not, for the life of me, pet this frog. I tried so we could get to the void, but in the end, it was not happening, and no matter how much I went to it, the moon was going to detonate. GG's. Dio's best friend consumed. We got one that was 1,000,000! 1.1 million with only Razorwire! Damage dealt 100,000 million billion. Time alive 192 was really more like 4 hours. But look at our items, guys, from only Razorwires dealing damage. I bought some things on accident, like the freaking single ukulele and the Kajaru's band and the whatever. But it was 500 laser scopes, 756 crowbars, and then the 141 regenerating scrap, which allowed us to get those. I guess the 80 armor piercing rounds probably assisted as well. But that's a trillion damage to Razorwire. Potentially the most broken build when you're playing solo. Potentially the most broken build.